All right, so a little bit more information came out last night. Some of you are probably already aware of this, but since I'm running a YouTube channel here, might as well go ahead and cover this. We've got one more billionaire out of the race that arguably never should have gotten into the race in the first place. Tom Steyer's done. Last night, didn't. And here's the funny thing about Tom. Came in third place in South Carolina, and he dropped out. So, Tom Steyer has essentially jumped into a race late in the game, potentially created a problem with his money for getting other candidates any sort of recognition. Perhaps with all of his ad spending and money buying has played a role in subsequently crushing grassroots campaigns such as Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang down. Of course, they ran grassroots campaign, funded by the people. And unfortunately, when you're trying to compete with billions of dollars, you got a problem there. I brought that up last night. Okay? So he got in the race. He spent his money. And of course, part of what he used to get his support in this race and to get to where he, originally achieved poll-wise and individual contribution-wise, he got that by using sales for merchandise and things of that nature when he was running the Impeach Trump campaign shortly after Donald Trump got elected to office, long before Congress ever even attempted at impeaching Donald Trump yet. Long before that impeachment debacle. And yet somehow he was able to use all of that as the way to say, hey, look, I've got all these individual, contributions. And so he snuck his way into the field and onto the debate stage. As far as what sort of a candidate was Tom Steyer, he was a phony. He was an absolute phony, okay? We got a guy here who's pushing that he's a go green activist, made his money in coal, okay? Made a good chunk of that wealth that he has accumulated in the coal industry. So not very much of a go green activist there. Whether climate is your issue or not, you have to admit, if you've got any sort of moral fiber at all, you don't like someone who's just a liar and wants to do something just for their advantage. So you made your money in coal, yet you go around saying that you're a go green activist. That would be like you basically running a church and funding it by also running a whorehouse. Got kind of a controversy there, don't you? Okay. So that being said, he dropped out. And unfortunately, I feel like his entire presence this entire time, because of his wealth, has nothing but hurt potentially other candidates. Now, is it just him by himself? No. The people who helped shut Tulsi Gabbard up and Andrew Yang and so on and so forth, it's not just one candidate on stage. You got the mainstream media flocking behind certain candidates while trying to ignore others. Okay? That was a huge factor there. But with that being said, let's get serious for a moment while we're on the topic of Tom Steyer, the mainstream media, and Tulsi Gabbard. One of my viewers commented this in a video I made last night, and she is absolutely correct. Tom Steyer received the privilege of being covered, I guess we could say fairly, whatever we can gauge fairly as in terms of the mainstream media, fairly by the mainstream media, okay? And he also was able to receive things like town halls more recently, namely going into New Hampshire. Now, who tried to put a big effort together to try to really get a ball rolling in New Hampshire? Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard even went as far as to get a home to live in New Hampshire's backyard so that she could be there to go out and stump for votes amongst the populace of New Hampshire. Okay? She was really banking a lot on New Hampshire. And CNN didn't give her the time of day when they were running all those town halls for New Hampshire. Okay? Likewise, she's tried to, I think, focus some here in South Carolina. Ignored her again for South Carolina. Yet the billionaires can get their way on stage. Now, what is going to be the obvious argument from the mainstream media there? Where they're going to say, oh, well, she wasn't a viable candidate. You know, we can't just give away airtime. We're trying to get a message out there for people that actually might have a chance of winning. And you thought that was Tom Steyer, did you? Now, why would you think that? I wonder, mainstream media, why would you think Tom Steyer would be that one? Because you see, Tom Steyer might be polling a little bit higher than Tulsi Gabbard, but he hasn't won anything yet. He hasn't really come close to winning, you know, very much yet. So, again, considering the fact that he hasn't won any delegates, I don't even really think came close to getting any delegates. Perhaps the closest he came might have been in South Carolina, because I don't think he was too far off from 15%. But he didn't crack the threshold nonetheless, so he hasn't gathered any delegates. And after all that time, all that money, and all that, you know, time on debate stages and town halls, he drops out. Now, meanwhile, you've got someone like Tulsi Gabbard still continuing to try to fight the fight, even though that road looks like it's going to be a dead end because of what they've already succeeded in doing up to this point. And it would take nothing short of a miracle to turn it around right now. Okay? So considering that all that has already been done, you know, there you go. And for all the people who thought, again, that Tom Steyer was some sort of a great candidate, no. Okay? Let's examine some of the things that we've heard come out of Tom Steyer's mouth. Okay? The name one that I want to focus on right now being, okay, that when they had a healthcare argument, wasn't this past debate, may have been the one before that, or perhaps 2 debates ago. He brought up the argument that basically, what difference does it make if we get Bernie's healthcare plan, or Pete's healthcare plan, or Amy's healthcare plan? They'd all be great. No, they would not be great. And we've established that multiple times. Now, some might say, well, they're better than the current system. Are they, though? Because, again, Pete's and Amy's and Joe's, okay, those healthcare plans are going to be doomed for failure. There's going to be such a massive imbalance in the structure of it that it's never going to work. It's going to absolutely go nowhere. To use Kyle Kalinski's recent cliche, the American people under those plans are going to end up with Dickie McGee's axe. They're going to get absolutely nothing from it. Okay? So that's not a great healthcare plan. So he's trying to play Mr., you know, bring everyone together. I'll stand between this side and this side and talk about how we need to unify. But again, he's ended up with nothing. He spent all this money. He's flooded YouTube channels. He's been buying TV ads. Couldn't keep up with Bloomberg in that category, but still has spent plenty of money on trying to get somewhere, got nowhere, and as a result, by his spending all that money, has done nothing but probably stifled out other candidates, you know, from getting ads and being more noticed because of his flooding of the market with all of his money, only to be a very hypocritical, very flawed candidate to now drop out. So the good news, okay, Tom Steyer's out of the race. We thinned him out. We thinned the herd a little bit more, and that's a good thing that he's gone, okay? Bad news, what kind of damage did he do this entire time he jumped into this race when he was going to go absolutely nowhere from the get-go? He's probably just pulled support away from other candidates who would have been potentially far better candidates had they gone all the way, and the mainstream media has been backing him through this entire debacle, and at the same time, you know, shooing people like Tulsi Gabbard away, even though they're trying to mount up something as well, and they're not going to give her fair coverage, even though there was, and still is, a large number of grassroots support out there behind her, but there's also an even larger amount who, because of mainstream media's rigging and because of flooding ads on the market and super PAC money being in this and the billionaires funding in wine caves and all that, still didn't know who Tulsi was, didn't hear her message, and so they were not able to make a decision on whether they would like her or not.